My best friend abandoned me on a highway somewhere between nowhere and the place. We had been fighting for almost an hour by then, bringing up shit we thought we'd long buried. He pulled over so suddenly the tires spat gravel across the road, then just sat there gripping the steering wheel and breathing while the turn signal clicked in the silence. Finally, he told me to get out. I honestly thought he was bluffing until he leaned across, shoved my door open himself, threw my backpack at me, and told me to find my own way out. Then he turned the way we came from and drove off, leaving me stranded with no signal, no flashlight, and kilometers upon kilometers of highway and forest. Life has a way of isolating me at the worst possible moments. Maybe it's always just been me, but it sure is better assuming that the universe holds a grudge against me, because at least then you know there is a reason behind the things that happen to you. When I was 12, I got separated from my class during a school trip and spent an entire night alone in the woods before a search team found me half asleep beneath a fallen tree. At 16, I'd managed to lock myself inside an old mausoleum while screwing around in a cemetery with friends and had to wait there until morning listening to rain hammer against the stone roof. Elevators breaking, getting stuck in lockers, the list keeps on going. Internally, I laugh it off every time it's over, because I'm like a damn cockroach. I've been lucky enough to survive everything that's been thrown at me. I don't know if I'll be able to get out of this one. The flashlight on my phone barely helped see through the dark. Heavy foliage blocked out the sky above, and the thick barks of the dense forest were way too foreboding to even consider going in. I sat down, trying to gather my thoughts as I assessed the situation. The first option, keep walking the road. I had minimal supplies and a phone with a half-depleted battery. I wouldn't last long and my body would eventually tire out. The alternative was the second option, sit my ass down and wait for any passing cars. Great in theory, but the first problem is that there aren't any passing cars. This fuckus road is only technically a highway, because I think it's dead center in the middle of nowhere and I don't know whether anyone except me and my friend was actually coming through here. The second problem is the woods. They made me feel exposed somehow. Every time I turned my back to them I'd get the urge to look over my shoulder again. It reminded me of the fear I'd felt as a kid. The third option, go into the forest. No. Just no. The fourth option, climb a tree. I used to do it all the time, and I think I'll still be able to. It's always better to know more about your surroundings, and I was hoping that I'd see a second road or the edge of the forest, maybe making option 3 a bit more viable. I picked the final one. I looked for the healthiest tree I could find, figuring it lowered my chances of falling from a dead branch. My heart sank every time the bark peeled away under my grip, but I kept climbing, grabbing one branch after another, putting my feet on the former and pulling myself higher. I tried not to look down. Near the top I stayed close to the trunk, moving carefully between the thinner branches since those were always the weakest. I sat down in the thickest outstretch of the trunk at the peak, balancing my weight evenly. Slowly, I pushed my head through the leaves, making sure nothing poked me in the face. What I saw completely eliminated the third option. The forest stretched on for miles in every direction beneath the stars. From up there I could barely make out the highway cutting through the trees, winding farther and farther away until it disappeared completely into the dark. No streetlights. No gas stations. No nothing. I climbed down slowly, trying not to think too hard about how stranded I actually was. Only after my feet touched the ground did it really hit me. Exhausted, I lowered myself onto the grass beside the road. It didn't feel nearly as safe as the gravel, but I was too tired to give any more fucks. Alright. The forest was never an option, and staying on the road was counterintuitive to my escape. I forced myself to wake up, rubbing my eyes as I remembered I'd left my shoes at the base of the tree's trunk. They were gone. 5 fucking minutes I'd lain there, and the shoes were nowhere to be seen. I looked high and low, but they were definitely gone. Tears welled up, but I pushed them back, along with the questions of how and what. I just started jogging beside the roadway in the direction I thought my friend had gone, ignoring the occasional stone jabbing into my ankle. I concentrated on conserving my stamina so that I could run for longer. Once the monotony of my sprint calmed me down, I started noticing a few things. There were no sounds. Woods are quieter at this time, sure, but never dead silent. Usually there's at least a few crickets out there. I could hear nothing except my own footsteps. My grandfather used to work as a ranger, and he told me all kinds of stories about the woods growing up. But there's one thing he said that stuck with me. Kid, if you can't hear a thing in the woods, not even the birds, get the hell out. Animals only go that quiet when they know something is wrong. I think it was a few hours in that I saw the first vehicle. I ran straight to it, not giving a fuck about my feet being scratched and torn by the rough gravel. You have no idea how it felt seeing that bike laying on the road, turned on its side. If being lost in this godforsaken path felt like I was drowning, then this was like someone pulled me out of the water for a second to breathe. You also have no idea of the disappointment I felt when I saw it was wrecked. Completely unsalvageable. The thing looked like it had been crushed by an invisible hydraulic press. You can't crash something like that even if you tried. I'd noticed something was off about this place before, sure, but I hadn't been this weirded out even when I'd lost my shoes to the fucking air. Finding the crashed motorcycle also confirmed another thing. This was not the direction my friend had driven off to, because I sure as hell didn't remember seeing it before. It presented me with quite the conundrum. Turn back the way I'd come from, or keep going forward. I chose the latter. Now I know that you're all probably screaming at me for doing that, but there's a good reason behind my decision. For context, my friend JV, I'll call him that for now, and I had been on this cross-country road trip. We were stumbling our car through obscure forest roads that narrowed down so much they felt more like a hiking path, twisting and winding every step of the way. I wasn't even sure I'd even be able to find the intersection Google Maps had led us to for entering the highway in the first place. I didn't want to erase my progress either, so I cut my losses and stepped back into the grass beside the highway. Cursing as I removed the gravel wedged in my feet, I gradually began picking up my pace again. I stopped paying attention after a while. My entire world narrowed down to the stretch of road in front of me. Every now and then I de-shine my phone, just to assure myself that I was alone. Not that the prospect of that was much better anyways. Then I saw the fork in the road. I was exhausted, my stamina barely keeping up even after I slowed my jog to a walk. I had to stop every few minutes because the simple act of moving forward felt like it was draining the life out of me. At first I didn't even register what I was looking at. My brain just accepted it automatically, just another road cutting off into the woods. It took me a few seconds to realize that highways aren't just supposed to randomly split off. Not this one, at least. I collapsed onto the ground, panting as I gulped down water non-stop, rationing be damned. I pulled OU.